Super cool radio.
Hello, everyone. I am Matthew Thomas. This is Super Cool Radio. People should be familiar with my guest this time. I featured his band on my show before, plus I interviewed the guitarist Carlos Arroyo as well. Please welcome lead vocalist of Scultone, Doc.
Hey, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Wonderful to be here. Thanks for playing the music.
Of course, really dig what you guys are doing. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Very recently, Scultone released a brand new EP entitled Dreamcatcher. So before we really jump into everything, how did you get started as a musician?
Well, I guess it goes way back. My first album. For now, I guess that's like dating myself. My first album was Johnny Cash. My mom bought it for me. I think my mom bought it for me. It was a long time ago. I was probably about 5 years old. So started listening to Johnny Cash. And then, of course, everybody wants to play guitar because Johnny Cash played the guitar. So I took some lessons and I don't know. And it's the funny thing about guitar. I never got into the guitar. I learned how to play it a little bit. And then, I don't know, I just gravitated towards singing. But that's how I got to where I'm at today in a nutshell. Been through some bands in high school, nothing big. We all had our own thing going on. Everybody's going to be a superstar in whatever they do. And, everybody went their own way. So, and then life happened. Kind of went in and out of the music scene here and there, just kind of did my own thing a little bit. Didn't publish anything, just wrote a lot of stuff and sat behind the scenes. And then I decided one time, I don't know, maybe, 10 years ago or so, I said, you know what? I'm going to go back and take guitar lessons again. So I did that. And up in a town, Ferndale, California, was where I was at the time, which is Northern California, Humboldt area. And I hooked up with a guy, opened a new music little store there, Paul Beatty from Pyronauts at the time. Yeah. And we started taking guitar lessons and whatnot. And then the guitar just wasn't for me, So I picked up a bass and I said, let me try this thing. Well, a lot easier, quite frankly. And, I could work my way through that and whatnot. And so then I started with Paul. I started bringing some music in that I'd already written and we started putting it all together, which some of the songs on the EP now. And well, this was not 10 years ago. We moved up to a little sooner than now, probably 2014, 2015.
Okay.
So we started a little band named Scultone. And it was just him and I in the beginning. And he kind of had some other obligations with the Pyronauts. And he's kind of a surf music type of guy. And you'll kind of hear that in some of our music, some of the surf tune, the undertones. But anyways, it kind of fizzled out, and it's hard to find any good band musicians up there in the outskirts and the hinterlands. So I moved the band, myself, down to Southern California, where I'm from anyways. And I knew a guy that had been in the industry pretty much his whole life named Keith Carberry. He's a drummer. So I hooked up with Keith Carberry. And then Keith knew Carlos. So he brought Carlos in, and I knew Josh, our old rhythm guitarist, since passed. And then we hooked up with another guy named Norio, the bass player. And that's where Scultone really started at that point. That band, prior to COVID, like everybody else, played a lot of shows at the Whiskey and in Hollywood and around town, all over the place. and we had a lot of success. So then COVID hit. Everybody kind of went their own ways because nobody was doing anything. Keith moved to one of the Carolinas. Norio, he's kind of more of a jazz guy or something like that. So he kind of went back to what he knows best. Josh, unfortunately, when we were putting the band back together in May, he passed away from a fentanyl overdose.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, one of those deals where they thought he was getting cocaine and that was it, and unfortunately, it's a tough gig, but we're hear about it all too often anymore.
Unfortunately.
But anyways, Carlos and I, so we, as we were putting the band back together, we searched around and found 3 other guys. Found a new drummer, Freddie Caballero. Excellent drummer, great guy, young guy. He's kind of in school, but he works around it. Paul Montiel, he's kind of the big guy. He's our new rhythm guy, and the guy really brings some real good sound to the band. And then Sean Botto, he's been around a long time in Orange County, and he was a great, phenomenal bass player. Really got his stuff together, and so that's where we're at today. And of course, Carlos, he's in the band, and myself as well. That's where we're at today. That's the lineup today.
And thank you so much for the kind of history and the lineup changes of Scultone, and that kind of leads me to where I was going to go. The big reason I want to chat with you. So last month in October, Scultone released a brand new EP entitled Dreamcatcher. So how did that EP come together? What was writing and recording the EP?
Well, I had brought some songs from the prior group, Paul Beatty and I. We had some professional musicians that played some stuff, like Headless and some of the other songs that are on there. I won't go into detail about which songs are which, but I brought several songs with me already completed. And then, so I recorded those up at a little place up in Northern California, Bongo Boy Studios. Big shout out to Dominic and Jimmy Foote, by the way, up there. Itty bitty place, really. We did scratch tracks, and then we put, did them in another studio with the big boys, and then we brought them back, and then we did the mastering there in Bongo Boy Studios up there in Arcata, California, I guess, or McKinleyville. The music, the songs that Carlos brought in, Save Me and Streetwalker, you're familiar with those.
I am, yes.
We recorded those down here in Orange County. I don't remember the recording studio, and I don't think it's any longer in business. So I have no reason to give a shout out to them at this point. But we did it the old fashioned way. We all got together, we worked on it, and we recorded those 2 songs there, and then we brought them back up to up north again and had Dominic master them and get them all together ready to go along with the rest of the album. There's one song on the album. The original album was going to be called Systematic Annihilation. But then with the passing of Josh, and Josh had wrote the song Dreamcatcher, I recorded Dreamcatcher with Paul Beatty on guitars up north again. And then we also mastered that up there. And then we made the Dreamcatcher. It was never going to be part of the album, this album at least. Josh was pretty picky about where his music was and how it was going to be, and it was never going to be complete. I guess that he was a perfectionist. The guy was an unbelievable musician. But we had decided to, in honor of Josh, we decided to rename the album Dreamcatcher, and that's where we are today. And we added that one song on there. It's an acoustic song. It's completely different than anything we do. It may sound a little funky sometimes. We did 2 overlays of guitar, and then we did a slide guitar on top of everything, which gives it that kind of grind, sound. But we thought that would be kind of nice to do something like that and kind of maybe cross over into a different genre a little bit. Can't be heavy all the time, can't be soft all the time, so we're kind of spreading it out a little bit. So that's how we got to the release of Dreamcatcher.
Yeah, definitely. I've listened to the complete album Dreamcatcher. I really enjoy it because, as you said, there's some really heavy songs. I really noticed like Streetwalker and Systematic Annihilation, some definitely heavier songs. But then you also got to balance it out a little bit with some rock or some more lighter sounding songs as well. Mm-hmm.
Well, we kind of went out of our way to make it that way. I don't consider us a pure heavy metal band. I guess, a lot of guys today, Matthew, they get caught up in a genre, or they get caught up in, whatever they think, somebody wants to hear. And in my own opinion, I don't think you can chase the sound. I think you just put together the sound that you do, and that what sounds good to you and what you can make. And then you put that on vinyl, or today you just put it on a disc, or in the internet. But, and I think that's where we're at today with music. Carlos has some earlier influences, and I have some later influences, and then the new guys have some even later influences. So we kind of mix all that together, and out comes the Scultone, sound. And I think it's kind of unique, maybe, to today. Like I said, people are out there chasing, the heavy metal. They want to be a heavy metal band, but they're not heavy metal bands. You understand what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I definitely do. It's like they have to make songs fit into a certain genre instead of just letting the songs breathe.
Right.
Kind of giving it the different style and uniqueness to it. I kind of like that. I mean, I also like having hard rocking guitars, so like I definitely appreciate that. But you got to change it up a little bit, especially for a whole EP or album. You got to give a little bit of diversity to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I think you lose a lot. If you get out there and you say, okay, I like Judas Priest, or I like Iron Maiden, and that's what I'm going to play, and that's all I'm going to do, and I'm going to push for that sound, or, to me, I don't write that way, and I don't really feel it that way. I usually write the bass tracks first when I do my stuff, when I put it together, and kind of come to the group and say, okay, here's the lyrics in the bass track, guys. Now what? And usually it turns out to be totally something different, because I'm not a string guy. I'm not much of a drummer or a guitarist or any of that. So those guys have their own ideas, but I'll bring the lyrics, and then we'll change it a little bit. We'll modify the lyrics to make it work with the new music sound undertones. And it's just a great feeling to have a band that will work together like that. It's not a bunch of 3-year-olds or 10-year-olds screaming at each other at the end of the day. So, which too often it often ends up being that way,
Unfortunately, with quite a few bands, that egos or ideas get in the way of like, hey, how about we collaborate and actually make something we all enjoy instead of one person saying we have to do it like this or whatever. It's really cool. You guys got a really nice collaboration with everything that, you guys work very well together to produce some really great music.
Yeah, we do. We work well. Carlos and I really work well together. The new guys, the same way. Everybody has their input. We've although I founded the band, me, Carlos, and I, we're very open to what anybody wants to do. New sound, whatever comes out, as long as we're not pushing the sound, as long as we're not chasing the sound of somebody else. Hey, who's hot today? Well, let's sound like that. No, that's not going to work, because we just don't feel it at that point.
I respect that a lot, because like I've listened to some bands who like they'll change their style of music just for like to follow trends and whatnot. And some of it sounds good, some of it's like, that's not you guys. That's not what the music you guys produce. That's not you. But it's cool that just play what you're feeling.
Yeah, just whatever comes out, make it work. Have fun with it, work at it. Every note's been played already. Everything's already been done. It's just a matter of how you're going to play it. And I think if you don't put your passion into it, you don't put all your heart and soul into it, you're going to lose it right there. And so many bands are doing that today just to, make a buck, I guess. I don't know. So.
Well, yeah, some of the mindset with some of the bands is like, well, those people are successful, so if I sound like those people, I'll be successful. And sometimes it works, but most of the time people see through it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think most of the time, like you say, people see right through it, and they can see it when you're playing it. They can feel it, that it's not really your passion, or, not really your thing. I mean, we could go run out there and play country music, but I don't know if I'm not sure that's going to work or anybody's going to buy into. I could put a cowboy hat, get rid of the hot top hat, and grow a beard or something. And, and we could try that maybe, but that's just not our thing,
Definitely. I mean, people really connect with music that feels genuine. That like these people are feeling these emotions. These people wrote this music and they produce this music, and it's that connection. I think bands lose that when you're not yourself.
Absolutely. And to on top of that, you hit on a good point. Write your own music and play your own music. You know, Scultone here, we write our own music, all of it, all the way from the lyrics to the drum beat, to the bass chords, to the, lead guitar, to the rhythm. We put it all together and it's all from us. And I know that's so uncommon today. And I was surprised that, most of the stuff out there today, the band didn't even write it. They just, and I understand that happens quite a bit, especially when you're up there, somebody will bring you some music or whatever, and that's all good. But when the majority of your stuff turns out to be from somebody else, you've kind of lost focus on, at least in my opinion, why you're doing this in the first place, Yeah,
definitely. There's definitely quite a few bands. I'd definitely say, obviously in the mainstream, where obviously some bands, as you said, they have people write their own songs. Like I know some bands who they had a guest writer on a few songs. That I'm cool with. That I'm fine with. But there's quite a few bands where it's pretty much not them for the whole album. I think that affects it. I think it affects the quality. I mean, it's going to be good quality, but it's also not going to be the style of the band. You can tell if there's a huge shift, it's usually because they brought in some other people. Right.
You bring in one new person, the sound changes. Everything changes. And, that could be the end of the band, too.
It definitely could be. Or, it turns off the people who supported them from the beginning to, if you change your sound so much, or if you're just not even being genuine anymore, it could definitely turn off quite a bit of your audience.
Yeah. And I mean, that's kind of why up front, we kind of play everything. And, I mean, we're not out there doing, ballads or anything, but I mean, or opera. I mean, we're sticking within the guidelines of what we can do. And everybody's like, well, what kind of music is it? I don't know. You tell me. It's just music. It's just music to me. I'm not going to say we're heavy metal or hard rock or soft rock or acoustic or whatever else, industrial. I hear industrial punk now. I mean, what is this stuff? I don't even know, But
I definitely wouldn't describe you guys as that. But if someone does ask you that question, just say it's good music.
That's it. That's all we can do. Just listen to it and get it out there. And, which you're doing a great job of, by the way. I appreciate, what you're doing for the community. And, too many times, I don't know if you see some of my tweets, I think with the music industry, the fans are killing the music industry. They're caught up in everything that was 40 years ago or 30 years ago. And so are the radio stations, by the way. The radio stations are only playing stuff from, these guys are all 75 years old now. They're going to retire soon. And then what? Where's the leave the music industry? Because if the younger guys don't get no play, and I'm not even concerned about us, I'm just talking in general. If the younger guys don't get any play, then there's nothing to move on to,
I definitely agree. There has to be, with anything, not even just music, but also just, you can apply this to anything. You have to have a next generation. And I see this with a lot of different stuff, even with my job, my other job, not my radio station stuff, but it's they don't invest in younger talent for anything. And it's these people are going to be here when those people are gone. And if you're not treating them right or not pushing them or do anything, then either they're going to leave or they're going to go somewhere else, to do something else. And it's just a shame. And especially with music and stuff, there's so much good music out there that people don't know about. I hear quite a bit about my station is that it's man, I didn't even know that music existed. And it's I mean, it's cool you guys discovered that. It's awesome. But also part of me is I'm kind of sad because it's more people need to hear this, music. And it just makes me, I mean, it's cool. I'm playing it. I love doing it. But I just wish more people would be doing what I'm doing.
Well, I think it's catching on, though. I think what you're doing is catching on. I see, I listen to your show, and you got some great bands on there. I mean, and it brings up another point, too. I mean, everybody's caught up in that music's no good or this music's no good. Or, well, yeah, everybody has a preference of what kind of music they like. But everybody's got to remember that somebody put their time and effort into that, and they put it out there. They don't necessarily think it's the greatest thing ever, but they're doing it. And so, in my opinion, there's just no bad music. It's just art. It's art like anything else. You know, some of it's offensive, some of it's not. And, you know, just look at it as art. You have a taste for art. Okay, so let's call it music. You have a taste for metal or hard rock bands. That's your taste. But every now and then one of those soft little songs will sneak in there and you're all like, oh, that's wonderful, you know?
I definitely agree with you. And I was, you know, one of my friends sent me music last night. And he's like, hey, I want you, you know, let me know what you think. I want you to, you know, give me your thoughts on this. Because he said he had a lot of negative, you know, reviews about it from other people. And because he was talking about, like, you know, he had a guest vocalist on, like, people didn't like, you know, the way the vocalist sounded. I was like, voices are subjective, you know, and just with music as well. And it's not going to be everyone's style of music, but you also have to make sure if you like it, if you did your best job on it, then I wouldn't really worry about what other people are saying.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're not in this to make money. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, we're just not. We're doing it because it's a passion. It's a calling. We love doing it. And that brings back me to another point about how I ended up here as the front man for Scultone. I never wanted to be the front man. Maybe in high school when I was in my bands, I was a singer, whatever, you know, the yada, yada, yada. That was real cool, like a chick magnet type of thing, whatever, you know, that was fun. But for Scultone, I was going to sit behind the scenes on the bass and just kind of do my thing. And we put the band together, like I said, and I left one part out. We started interviewing singers, right? And one after another. It just, you know, and then we'd find one. And then it was just, oh my gosh, this is just too much, you know? So at the end of the day, I've decided that singers are like poodles, you know, when it comes to the dog breed. They got to have their hair fluffed. They got to be all pristine. And, you know, you got to really pamper those guys, or else they go somewhere off in the deep end and they get mad at everybody and cause a problem. So at the end of the day, we just couldn't get along with anybody. I don't know. Maybe it was just us. So, and we were coming to a deadline to having to record. So I said, well, you know what, guys, unfortunately, this is the way it's going to be. But that's where I ended up. So I never wanted to be the front man of Scultone, but oh, well, it's working.
Yeah, I mean, it's just sometimes it happens. I talked to another band where they couldn't find a guitarist, so they had two guitarists. So the one guitarist just learned how to play bass. He's like, I'm not going to worry about trying to find somebody. I'm just going to play bass. So it's, you know, very similar. It's like sometimes if you want to get stuff done, especially in a deadline, and if you want to deal with people, just deal with it yourself and be like, you know what, I just got to do it. Absolutely.
And you know, that brings up another point. You know, Carlos just shreds. I mean, Carlos is just an unbelievable guitarist.
He's a beast of a guitarist.
He is a beast. I mean, you gotta come check us out live. That guy, he puts on a show, and it's amazing what he can do with that guitar. As far as you were talking about switching over bass and whatever, when we were doing auditions for Scultone, we had already picked up Freddie, the drummer, and we were still looking for a rhythm guy to replace Josh, and we were looking for a bass guy to replace Norio. And so the two guys, you know, we went through a lot of guys, and then Sean Botto shows up, and, you know, he said he played guitar and he played bass. So he went in there and he just played bass. And I said, well, where's your guitar? He said, I'm not, you know, I can do it, but he chose not to, I guess, that day. He was a great bass player. So we're like, all right, just stay here. You know, let's stay here for the rest of the rehearsal, you know, bring in some more guitarists. So at the end of the night, we brought in the big, I call him the big guy, Paul. And Paul brought his bass because he brought his bass and his guitar because I told him to bring both. And he wanted to, you know, really do the guitar. He had been practicing all week on guitar. And I said, no, bring your bass. He practiced all week on the bass. I'm sorry. So I made him bring his guitar that night. He had both of them. I said, no, you're going to play the guitar right now. He's all, well, wait a minute. You know, I'm not ready.
I didn't sign up for this.
Right. But you know what? So that's what, you know, they both are interchangeable, but they both kind of settled into what they're doing now. And I think we're getting some great sound out of those guys. Great sound. They bring some great music to the band. Paul brought some songs of his own. We're actually doing one of his songs live right now, Harvest of Sorrow. And wow, what a catchy tune. We're going to record that here soon, get it out there so everybody can hear it. But it's kind of it's a little, it's along the lines of Scultone in that genre, whatever that's. We have our own genre now. It's called Scultone. We'll just say that.
I like it.
And it's along those lines. It's a little dark. It's a little heavy, but it's a great song. I look forward to putting it out there.
I definitely look forward to listening to it. And it kind of brings me to another thing I wanted to chat about, which was you talk about playing it live. So last month in Santa Monica, you guys had your EP release show. How was that?
We played at a little place. It was great. It was comfortable down in Santa Monica. And it's one of the smaller places I think I've ever played. And I think Carlos probably could say that too. But it was wonderful. The fans were great. People were great. It was just a good evening. It was a good evening to get back at it. We hadn't performed live in, since, before COVID. So what, 3 years, I think? It's been 3 years that Carlos has his other band too, but it'd been about 2.5 years since Scultone actually, got live. And wow, what a great feeling it was. It was like a day, we didn't miss a day. We didn't have any big airs out there. There were a few, but I don't think anybody noticed.
That's a good part.
But us. But yeah, great show. We have another one coming up January 6th down in Costa Mesa at the Tiki. There's 3 other bands I think playing that night as well. We're headlining that one as well. So we're feeling pretty good. It holds about 500. I'm sure we'll pack it in. So,
right on.
We're digging it, man.
That's good, especially for being being together for so long as Scultone. It sounded like a really cool night. I heard, I think either you posted or Carlos posted about it the next day, and it just sounded like it was a fun event.
It was a great event. It really was. Seeing some old friends, old friends always come out. It was a kind of a local show. I mean, it's a couple hours out of Orange County, but our little standard fans will show up anywhere, which is cool. Got to see some old friends that I hadn't seen in a long time. I'm sure Carlos feels the same way. Paul and Sean, I'm sure, and Freddie as well. But it was just, all in all, it was just good to get back out there, and you get the jitters off, you get the work the kinks out, and then it's all fun and games. It really is. And you got to keep a light heart in the whole thing. Just go out there and have fun. Don't get caught up in the industry. Don't get caught up in the business. Don't get caught up in trying to make all this money, that you're going to chase your tail into the ground for. Just go play. Say what you have to say and have fun.
Exactly. That's rock and roll. If you're not having fun, it's not rock and roll. That's the way I look at it. You have to have fun, because the point you made early on in this interview is we don't really make any money off this. Bands don't make money. I don't make money doing this. It's like we do this because we want to have fun and we enjoy it.
Absolutely. Well, we hope to make money someday, at least someday.
That's the dream.
If I could cover rehearsal costs, and the marketing end of it, that'd be great. I mean, like, we all have our merch. I know you have hats, beanies, and all the other stuff, and you're wearing your shirt tonight. By the way, I'll trade you a shirt for one of your beanies, man.
I have to order some. As soon as I made my profile picture with someone else wearing a beanie, it just took off. So I have some. I got a company I'm working with, so I'm going to get some in hopefully next week. But yeah, I made a post earlier with me and a beanie, and no response. But I have someone else do it. And it's we got to get beanies. So I'm like, all right, I'll work on it.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny if you and I put a beanie on and do it, nobody looks at it. But you find some hot blonde or whatever to put it in there, and then it just seems like whammo.
I know it's I found out if I get any more new merch in, I got to get a model who's not me.
Exactly. That's how I feel too. Same way.
And it's just I was looking around trying to shop around. It's just just stuff is just expensive. I don't think people realize how much it takes of time to find stuff and to get stuff and have it be affordable for that people can actually like purchase it to like it's not outrageously expensive to support somebody. If people knew kind of all the steps that took place, either being a band or like doing your own business kind of stuff, they would probably be very either impressed or blown away or confused that we're doing this for no money.
Yeah, it's 100% right. I mean, it's you got all this cash outlay and you make it back through your merch or whatever, merchandise, and you just do what you can, but it's for the love of the music, and we may come up short a little bit on the other end, but we're having a good time. So
exactly. I mean, I've gone to quite a few shows, seen quite a few people in my area, and it's just fun. It's like the kind of the main reason I do it, and I kind of saw there was definitely a void. I see it's better in the last probably year or so, but when I started in like 2019, there was really a void, especially in my area, where if you were a local independent band, you pretty much got no promotion, no airplay, no anything. And I'm starting to see that starting to shift a little bit. I'm happy for it, but I was definitely like, I guess I have to be the guy to do this. It's no one else, no radio stations, podcasts, anyone was really doing anything like that.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of other ones pop up since you've kind of come on board, doing your thing. But again, I can't thank you enough for getting our music out there. Yeah, we got some radio play, on the big airwaves up north a little bit and stuff like that. But as far as the Southern California group or getting it nationwide, the only person that's doing it is really you. But I'll bet you $1 million that the big boys are listening to you to see what you're bringing. You're doing all the research for them.
I know it's kind of funny. Like I applied to a local radio station about a year ago. I was like, they were looking for somebody. They were looking for like an assistant, and I was like, no real qualifications other than can you show up and do work? And I was like, dude, I can show up. I can already help you. I can do everything. And I never heard back. I applied 4 times, never heard back. But now I see that same local radio station is playing local artists. I've been doing this for almost 3 years, playing like music from my area, and they just started doing this now. I was like, that seems a little bit, suspicious.
Well, see, you're gaining a following, so now they want to get into what you're doing, So, but that, that's good though. That just shows that you're onto something, and it's going to work out well, and at least you're getting the little guys out there. So.
And that was my goal. Is like my goal is if I can make one person a fan of any band I've featured on my show, then like that's mission accomplished for me. That's my gratification. That's like what I want this podcast to be. And I think I'm doing quite a bit. There's people who I don't even know. It's like they walk up to me and like, you played that one band and now I'm a fan. I'm like, well, thank you, because that's the goal. Right.
Exactly. I mean, after you played Save Me, you played Streetwalker, and then you played Headless. Man, our Twitter universe blew up. I mean, it has been nonstop. It was amazing. There's been nonstop people following Scultone for the past 2 weeks, or whenever it was, the 12th. I think they played it on the 12th.
I did.
So since then, that morning, I woke up and we had, I don't know, couple hundred new followers, and then every morning after that it was the same way. It was just after that it was the big shift. And then now we've got the band has other opportunities, radio stations contacting us through our feeds and stuff, asking us, hey, can we have your album, can we play your album, can we, and we've got a couple other places that are playing it now as well. So thanks to you we're out there.
Well, that's like some of the best news I've heard, from like a band actually, telling me the impact. Like, that's awesome. I'm genuinely happy for you guys and for the amount of publicity you guys are starting to get with everything. I'm genuinely happy.
Good. And I'm pretty sure I got to give a shout out to Marvin Yates, our manager. He kind of wanted to take us on, and then he didn't, and then he wanted to, and we're kind of talking about it, and him and I met, and he was like, he told me this thing. It was hilarious. He said, I swore I'd never manage another band. He's all, I would rather walk through hell with a underwear, soaked in gasoline than represent another band, And I guess he must have had some bad experiences, but all in all, at the end of the day, he decided to take us on. And that's made a huge difference. So a big shout out to Marvin Yates over there too. And then also good friend or friend of you're a friend of hers, and Carlos is as well. Christina Avila back east there. She's been promoting the band now, Scultone, and I guess she has some stuff possibly lined up for us after the first of the year back east. So it'll be great to come out that way, and maybe you can come check us out or whatever. So
yeah, definitely. I definitely want to see you guys live, especially obviously for some really great music. Obviously to meet you guys, because me and Carlos hit it off right away, which was awesome. Same with you too. It's just we're just here to talk music, have fun, and some people are a little bit nervous when doing interviews. They they don't talk as much or they don't say as much, but you guys hey, let's do it. Let's jump in. Let's do it.
Well, oddly enough, Carlos is he's like the showman. I mean, he'll talk to anybody. I mean, he sticks around before and after the show, and he just goes out there and he's talking to everybody and having a great old time. Me, on the other hand, I'm the one, oddly enough, I'm the shyest guy in the room. I mean, and that's kind of odd when you think about a front man too, but it's mortifying for me to go out there, and do what I do until about halfway through the show. I'm fine. Or once we start singing, once we start singing and everything's going fine, it seems to be fine. But I'm the shyest guy in the room. I kind of sit in the back. I'll hide from people. I'll talk if people come up and want to talk, but I don't really get out there and put myself out there. You know what I mean? But I guess I do it through music,
Exactly. Yeah, you can. Yeah, definitely. But it's kind of fun. Well, before I jump into anything, obviously a big thank you to Christina Villa. She's an awesome promoter from Connecticut. She does so much, and again, she does it because she loves music. Same with with what we do as well. She just does it because she loves it. Awesome person. I've known her for about almost 2 years now, and always a great time working with her.
Yeah, she's given us a couple. She's had a couple of radio stations call. They give us interviews. Carlos gets some interviews. Mostly right now, it's just Carlos and I think. The other guys are kind of new, and they're kind of making their place in the band. I know after December 2nd, we're going to have a big campaign online to talk about the songs we wrote, talk, a little bit about the meaning behind them a little bit. And we're doing some face-to-face interviews with all the guys from the band on December 2nd. So I think that's really going to be helpful, and maybe the other guys feel a little more comfortable after that, getting their face out there. But I think kind of they're shy, a little bit. They don't, it was a little more than what they expected. I think at this point they were just joining some local band that was pretty good, but, and things are really taking off. And I think they're a little shy, but they'll get over it. We all do,
Exactly. But it was funny when I interviewed Carlos. We talked for 45 minutes after the interview. After I finished the interview, he was talking, and it was fun. We had an hour interview, and then we were talking 45 minutes after the interview. But yeah, he has so many great stories. He was talking about fighting a person in Alaska and playing up there, and I was like, man, he's fun to chat with for sure.
Yeah, Carlos has got some stories, man. I tell you. He's good at it. He'll tell you every one of them too.
I think he got quite a few in after the interview, which is awesome. I was like, man, why am I not recording this part?
Right, exactly. You can add part two with Carlos.
But definitely, you guys as a whole, awesome band, Scultone. So as I'm kind of wrapping up this interview, so if anyone's interested, where's kind of the best places to find you guys online?
Well, right now, I'm kind of I don't know. I'm not into putting the stuff on iTunes and all that stuff. I'm going to do it eventually. I kind of want to keep control of our music because I don't know. The only way, you don't make money off your music anymore. You make money off your shows if you're going to make money, and you make money off your merch. I'm kind of trying to change that as far as I'm concerned. I don't need to pay a platform to put my music out there for somebody to go pay $2 to download it, and then I get 10 cents. Or the band gets 10 cents. So everything right now is at www.scultonenation.com. And that's Scultone, Scultone, not skulls and skull and the dragon. That's Scultone. All the music's there. You can download the whole album. You can download individual songs, whatever you like. And that way it goes directly to the band and not some corporate, conglomerate that sucks up all the cash.
Zach, I want to leave that link in the description as well. Definitely check it out. Yeah, I just got my Spotify money. From March until October, I made it was like 1,500 streams, and I got paid a big $14 for it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So like I went to McDonald's. I was like, well, I could have a nice meal at McDonald's.
That's about what it costs these days too.
Usually, like when I was growing up, which wasn't that so long ago, I was like, if you wanted to eat and you wanted just to get some food and didn't really care too much about the quality, if you want a lot of food, you go to McDonald's. But now, like, you go to McDonald's and you're spending pretty much, you can go out to eat at a restaurant almost.
Yep, pretty much. It's crazy.
Yeah. But
I wish the music would do the same thing. Downloads should be like $15 now per song. Instead of $1.99 or whatever we're doing.
I mean, it's cool. Music is so accessible, but the problem with it being so accessible is that people want it for cheap or free because it's so you put it on YouTube and it's just like you don't get anything for it. It's just out there to be out there, which cool. It's good exposure, but it's also taken away from the person who actually made the music.
We have a video from the old band out there on YouTube, Systematic Annihilation, but it's like old. Well, it's not that old, but it's like 5 years old. But I noticed they were starting to sell commercials before the video, and I'm like, all right, that's enough. I mean, come on, guys, and that's what kind of got me to where I'm not going to put it out there on the streaming platforms. I mean, I might eventually, or we might eventually, depending on whatever, but I just think that people can go to the website just as easy as they can go to Spotify or anywhere else. If they want the song, they can download it, Yeah,
and probably easier. You don't need an account.
It probably is, yeah. Probably is.
I love CDs. That's my favorite way to listen to music because my car is a 2003 and all I have is a CD player. So when I'm on long car rides, it's like CDs. That is all I have.
Yeah, we're kind of in the midst of that for our merchandise program too. I'm like, guys, they don't even make cars with CDs in anymore. We just got to get the little thumb drive. We'll do those. And everybody's like, yeah, but they don't really get to see the band, or they don't. I guess you can put it in an envelope type thing at the same CD cover, but you know where that's going to go right away. So we're putting some CDs together right now of the EP. Most of the stuff's digital, or we give free downloads for people to come out and see the show. We'll give you the album for free. You can download it off our site, and it's pretty cool.
Definitely, for sure. But definitely, please check out Stream Support Giveaway to Scultone. So this is November. It's the end of November, actually. So what's kind of the plans for 2022? Because it is right around the corner.
Well, 2022, we've all kind of decided that right now we're going to just stick and we're going to just rehearse. We're going to play live. I know obviously we have some shows set up for next year, but 2022, we're going to have a new album come out. I think off the top of my head, I think 6 of the songs are already done.
Nice.
And 6 of the songs are done, and we got the other 6 or 10 that we're working on as well. But we're ready to rock and roll. I mean, we're going to get back at it and play our hearts out, start putting some more music out there, and just have a good time. So that's what's happening with Scultone. Everybody's committed. Everybody's 100% in. So we're just going to rock and roll, man.
Play some really great shows for 2022. I definitely look forward to seeing you guys if you're ever in my area or even around. I definitely want to see you guys live. But please check out Stream Sport, give a like to Scultone. I will leave their website link in the description. Definitely check out the brand new EP, Dreamcatcher.
All right. Thanks very much.
Of course. For Doc of Scultone, I am your host as always, Matthew Thomas. Thank you so much for watching and listening to Super Cool Radio. Stay
rock on.